Good morning and welcome to the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We are reaching you live from Abuja. I am Nolin Ebel Ame. Thank you for joining us. First, the headlines. National flag to fly at half-mast in honor of late Chief of Army Staff and others that have paid the supreme price. Accident Investigation Bureau AIB gets the mandate to lead investigation into Friday's KADUNA military aircraft crash. And 90 travelers who arrived from India, Brazil and Turkey as persons of interest and potential health hazards to society are evading quarantine. We begin the news by informing you that President Muhammadu Buhari has authorized that the national flag be flown at half-mast in all public buildings, facilities and official residences with effect from Monday 24th to Wednesday 26th of May 2021. In a statement, the President says this is to honor the memory and services of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, 10 senior military and service members who lost their lives in the plane crash on Friday, 21st May 2021. The President has similarly approved a work-free day for members of the armed forces on Monday, 24th of May 2021. In the meantime, the Accident Investigation Bureau AIB Nigeria has been mandated by the Nigerian Air Force to lead the investigation into the crash of a military aircraft that occurred on Friday in Kaduna, in which the Chief of Army Staff and 10 other military officers died. A statement by the AIB General Manager, Public Affairs, Tunji Oketumbi, stated that the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder from the accidented Beechcraft 350 aircraft have been recovered and investigation has commenced. Investigators will download and analyze vital information contained in the recorders at the AIB's world-class flight safety laboratory in Abuja. Meanwhile, fidel for the repose of late Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, was held in his family residence, Sardauna Crescent, Kaduna. Haruna Mohammed reports that the Chief Imam of one division, Nigerian Army, Colonel Usman Musa, led other Islamic scholars in the prayers. The scholars also prayed Allah to grant the souls of other deceased heroes eternal rest. President Muhammadu Buhari has described Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, the late Chief of Army Staff, COAS, as an outstanding soldier and an institution builder who fought valiantly for Nigeria until he breathed his last. In a telephone conversation with Mrs. Fati Ibrahim Attahiru, the wife of the late COAS and the spouses of the other deceased officers, through her, President Buhari hailed the sacrifices of the military men who lost their lives and the armed forces in general, saying that Nigerians will continue to appreciate and support the fearlessness with which our courageous soldiers are confronting the threats facing the nation. He gave the grieving spouses assurances that the nation will never forget the supreme sacrifice of their spouses, urging them to take solace in the surge of extraordinary feelings of emotions across regions, religions, and ethnicity all over the country in appreciation of their sacrifices. The President, who had given earlier directives to the Defense Headquarters and the Ministry to do everything a government can do to provide comfort and ease the hardships of the families of the deceased, prayed to the Almighty to repose their souls and grant their families the fortitude to bear the losses. Mrs. Atahiru, on behalf of the rest of the families, thanked the President for the love and care he has shown them. In the same vein, the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has condoled with the wife of Chief of Army Staff Fati Atahiru, her family members and the Nigerian Armed Forces in general over the death of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, as well as 10 other gallant officers who died in a plane crash in Kaduna on Friday, 21st of May, 2021. The First Lady described their death as the great loss the nation has had. State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, accompanied by the members of her family, as well as the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talin, the Director General, National Center for Women Development, Asebe Vilita Bashir, and the APC National Women Representative of the Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, Stella Okotete, and other top Nigerian women, paid a condolence visit to the wife of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, describing his death as a national tragedy. While sympathizing and consoling with his wife, Pati Atahiru, and other members of the family, the First Lady said, "The selfless service of the late Chief of Army Staff and other gallant officers who died along with him will not be in vain, and pray to God to grant them eternal rest and give the entire family the fortitude to bear the loss."
Her Excellency consoled with the entire family, and she prays that the wife and children, God will give them the fortitude to accept what we cannot change. May Allah console all of us.
And this loss is just not for the family, not for the Nigerian Armed Forces, but the whole of Nigeria. And we pray for Almighty Allah to repose the souls of the departed.
Watching some of his programs, he was always so passionate about ensuring that we overcome the insecurity, banditry, kidnapping and terrorism that we are currently facing as a nation.
We mourn the whole Nigeria. This is the time that Nigeria needs these gallant men. Unfortunately, they have left us at the time that we need them most.
The First Lady assured the family of her full support and the support of the entire Nigerian women in this trying period, and urged them to take solace in the fact that they have died as heroes while protecting the territorial integrity of the country. In Abuja, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
Also, the leader of Nigeria's northern neighbor, Niger Republic, President Muhammad BAZOUM, on Saturday has condoled President Muhammadu Buhari, the government and people of Nigeria following the Friday's plane crash that killed Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, the Chief of Army Staff, along with 10 other military officers. President BAZOUM, who described the plane crash and the resultant death as tragic and unfortunate, expressed the condolences of the government and people of his country. He prayed to the Almighty Allah to repose the souls of the deceased and grant fortitude to their families, friends, and the entire nation to bear the losses. In his response, President Buhari commended President BAZOUM for sharing this moment of grief with Nigerians and assured that the gesture was well noted. He expressed the nation's appreciation and gratitude for the sacrifices of the departed military men and promised that the nation will not let their families down. As the nation continues to mourn the death of the 11 officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Armed Forces who died in a plane crash on Friday, the Minister of Defense, General Bashir Salihi Magashi, has paid a condolence visit to the family of the late Coas Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru at Niger Barracks, Abuja. Consoling the bereaved family, the Minister of Defense prayed for the repose of the souls of the departed officers and soldiers. In the same vein, the wife of the Vice President, Dolapo Oshibaju, who joined the minister in the residence of late Brigadier General Olayinka, expressed sympathy to the bereaved family and prayed for God's mercy on the souls of the departed. On the minister's entourage are the Chief of Defense Staff and the 2 service chiefs of the Navy and Air Force. Now, in another news, a total of 580 bags equivalent to 120 drums of liquid substance suspected to be refined automotive gas oil, popularly called diesel, have been intercepted by men of the Nigerian Navy ship Lokoja along the coast of River Niger. The Navy paraded the culprits at the NN ship Logard. Correspondent Solomon Aide has details.
The 8 persons suspected of illegal bunkering were arrested along Itobe-Ida axis on the coast of River Niger, conveying the illegal substance worth millions of naira from Delta State in a wooden fiber boat by men of the Nigerian Navy ship Lokoja.
We dey buy am for Delta State, for Warubia. If we buy am for there, we come for Ida to come sell. I know say na this we carry, so I know say na illegal.
What the Navy have done so far, I think, as far as the state is concerned, we are very satisfied. They are doing their job on water. Other security agencies are doing beautiful job on land.
We are here with a new vigor, a new mandate, and a determination to make sure that it is no longer business as usual for those who are involved in criminalities on the waterways of Kogi State.
Commander NNS Lugard Lokoja, Commodore Clement Atebi, who described the act as a sabotage on the nation's economy, warned criminals who now leverage on the waterway to perpetuate crime to desist or meet their Waterloo. In a related development, the command also paraded the duo of Halilu Audu and Aliyu Mohammed, arrested around Ajaokuta to be axis on Niger River, conveying 553.5 kg substance discovered to be cannabis sativa from Jegono en route loco in Nasarawa State. These achievements, the commander explained, was in line with the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Swaibu Gambo's directive on zero tolerance to all forms of criminality on Nigerian waterways. The suspects have been handed over to relevant agencies of government for further investigation and prosecution. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehin, NTA News.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has apprehended a Brazil-based drug kingpin and also intercepted 36 blocks of cocaine weighing 27.95 kilograms with a street value of over 8 billion at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, MMIA, Ikeja, Lagos. In a statement released by the Director Media and Advocacy of the NDLEA, Femi Babafemi, the arrested drug lord Ejiofor Felix Ekwereku, during a preliminary interrogation, confessed to have been contracted by his Ethiopian associate, who is a notorious drug baron, to claim and push out the consignment in Lagos, Nigeria. He further admitted to have paid the sum of $24,500 bribe in 3 tranches to compromise NDLEA officers. The first was $10,000 delivered through his representative in Lagos, and another $10,000 via his first bank account, while the third tranche of $4,500 was paid at the point of his arrest, a fee that lured his arrest. His group is suspected to be responsible for recruiting traffickers to move illicit drugs to various destinations, using Nigeria as their transit location. Chairman of NDLEA, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, said the agency will not target only traffickers, but with the same vigor target the cartels and the kingpins that operate them. It's now time to take our first break. More reports when we return. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Now, the federal government has declared 90 travelers who recently visited or arrived from India, Turkey and Brazil as potential health hazards to the society for violating Nigeria's COVID-19 travel protocols and evading the mandatory 7-day quarantine for persons arriving from restricted countries. The Presidential Steering Committee, PSC, on COVID-19 in a statement signed by its chairman and secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, listed the violators as persons of interest who pose considerable danger to public health. They comprise 63 Nigerians, 26 Indians, and 1 Danish citizen who arrived to Nigeria through the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, and Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, between May 8 and 15, 2021, with Ethiopian Airline and Qatar Airways flights. The PSC says the violators must, within 48 hours of this notice, transport themselves safely to the nearest state public health departments for immediate evaluation and also call the Port Health Services, Federal Ministry of Health, for further directions. While urging Nigerians to be aware of the affected persons, the PSC says further sanctions, including a travel ban on their passports for 1 year, cancellation of visas or permits of defaulting foreigners, as well as prosecution, will be carried out. Meanwhile, 40 new COVID-19 infections have been recorded nationwide within the last 24 hours, bringing the country's total confirmed cases to 166,019. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and CDC records show that among the new infections, Lagos has 29, Abia and Ogun have 3 cases each, Kano 2, while Kaduna, Plateau and Rivers recorded 1 case apiece. Active cases nationwide stand at 7,476. Total discharged so far are 156,476, while the death toll remains 2,067. Saudi Arabia authorities have announced that only 60,000 foreigners will be allowed to perform this year's pilgrimage in the Holy Land. Special Assistant to Prime Minister on Religious, Alama Tahir Ashrafi, who announced this in a tweet, says the pilgrims would have to follow the coronavirus guideline protocols. The decision is to enable pilgrims access to the Grand and the Prophet's Mosque to perform the Hajj and Umrah. Saudi authorities had earlier announced that only people immunized against COVID-19 will be allowed to perform the Hajj. In the meantime, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria clarified that the final guideline for the 2021 Hajj operation is yet to be announced. The Commission, in a statement, says is yet to be communicated on the number of slots allocated to Nigeria. NACON, therefore, urges the public to consider the information being circulated as guidelines for 2021 Hajj as inconclusive. In an effort to checkmate the increasing cases of obstetric fistula and rehabilitate its victims, a health facility has been constructed and inaugurated to this effect in Kontagora, Niger State. Husseina Musa reports that the project, which is the brainchild of the wife of the Niger State Governor, Dr. Amina Abubakar Bello, will also empower the patients with skills before integrating them back to the society.
Still shares a high burden of obstetric fistula, popularly called VVF, with about 1 million women living with the dehumanizing condition. Northern Nigeria accounts for more than 50% of the cases due to socio-cultural beliefs characterized by poor health facilities. The establishment of the center became imperative to tackle the increasing menace head-on, which saw the pet project of the wife of the Niger State governor, Raise Foundation, in collaboration with other relevant organizations, establish obstetric fistula camps where about 300 women were treated successfully. The facility, named after the wife of the Niger State governor, Dr. Amina Bello Health Center, consists of a theater, 2 post-obstetric ward, a hostel, and skill acquisition center to address all aspects of VVF treatment and rehabilitation of its patients, as well as to serve as a hub for prevention programs across the north.
Additionally, we had trouble tracking the women for follow-up after their treatment, and so we were not able to rehabilitate those who came from far.
One person cannot do it alone. The leadership is important, but she needed to have all this support. The Federal Ministry of Health will be more than willing to support this center in all areas possible.
Raise Foundation and Mainstream Foundation came together and put this together. So definitely it's something to rejoice about, because it will change the lives of hundreds of thousands of women.
The inauguration of the center, which coincides with the International Day to End Obstetric Fistula, popularly called VVF, seeks to correct the misconception that the cause of the condition is not early marriage, but prolonged obstructed labor. Emina Hussaina Musa, NTA News.
And still speaking on inauguration, the Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge rail line is set for inauguration. Minister of Transportation Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, at the inspection tour, says President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to perform the inauguration ceremony on the 10th of June this year. Oinaya Kaloka reports.
Minister of Transportation Chibuike Rotimi Amechi arrived in the mega station to kickstart the inspection tour from Lagos to Ogun and Oyo states, covering the 386-kilometer tracks. His major concern stepping out of the vehicle is the level of completion.
Are you ready? This is our last inspection. Are you ready? We're ready for commissioning.
The inspection tour took the minister and his team to the 10 stations.
You will see that the 10 or 11 stations are almost ready. Some of the underpasses are ready. Some of the overpasses are also ready, because at least Costain, the bridge in Costain that was demolished, or that has been replaced.
At the APM terminals, Apapa, with 8 new standard gauge tracks added and 3 narrow gauge tracks rehabilitated.
We intend to move cargoes from the seaport up to Ibadan. So some people may have to move their cargoes to Kano from Ibadan.
This is said to be the last inspection tour of the double-track standard gauge rail line, as President Buhari is expected to perform the inauguration ceremony on the 10th of June 2021. Oyinaya Kalo Oka, NTA News.
Let's shift our attention to business now. Development expert enjoins government and informal sector to focus on information and communication technologies. Let's join Kunle Ade for details.
Since all aspects of the economy have gone digital and most job seekers are ICT compliant, taking solace in information and communication technologies has been seen as a good antidote to unemployment. Engaging Nigeria's youthful population in areas like wireless networks, cell phones, computers, software, middleware, video conferencing, social networking, and other media applications will stimulate the economy. An investment promotion expert, Ogbona Okuku, said government programs and policies, including enabling environments, are the basic requirements to make it function effectively.
Things that have worked in places like India, where tech hubs are, things that you have to push your energy in. See, the areas the areas of investment, as far as I'm concerned, is in human capital development, and that's one thing, tech hubs come with. It comes with that enabling environment for people to express whatever they have in their ability to, use their brain to work, develop things that you can actually sell. This entire disruption that is happening in the world, things have to get better. You have to think of better ways to get things done, and technology is the only way, and it still remains the only way.
He remarked that the federal government's partnership with Microsoft, which will eventually engage 5 million Nigerians, is a good development. With Business News, I'm Kunle Adeyeye.
Let's pause for another break. We'll be back shortly. Thank you for staying with us. The African Development Bank President, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, has made a case for scaling up financing for youth in Africa in view of the continent's young population in need of urgent attention. The AFDB president was speaking at a virtual roundtable where he presented a novel concept for youth entrepreneurship investment banks, which he says must become the focus of global support. Justin Bemui reports.
We must put our trust behind the youth. They will not fail Africa. The Africa's youth will make Africa prosper and succeed and become a globally competitive continent. But we have to put the wind behind their sail, and that wind is not words. That wind is money.
The African Development Bank Group at the meeting expressed its commitment to youth support by unleashing the entrepreneurial capacity of the youth to create jobs. Statistics show that less than 1 out of 6 African youths who enter the labor market each year find jobs, leaving many to start their own businesses. And while the youth of Africa have vibrant business ideas spanning all spheres of human endeavor, the AFD president, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, says many of these youths with business ideas involving technological innovations do not have the financial means to grow their businesses. The African Development Bank has demonstrated its strong commitment to the youth of Africa through its Jobs for Youth in Africa strategy. It has created 25 million direct and indirect jobs and expected to empower 50 million youth by 2025.
By developing a new financial ecosystem around the youth that is systemic, scalable, and sustainable, we will be able to create youth-based wealth and jobs massively across the continent. The youth are Africa's best assets. Let us invest in them.
The institution, the president says, has also set up a $40 million trust fund in partnership with several European countries to advance youth entrepreneurship and innovation. Justin Bemungi, NTA News.
I'm still talking agriculture, the role of rural farmers in ensuring food security through some identified value chain and the protection of national ecosystem took center stage as stakeholders met in Iheri Autonomous Community, Abia State, for the federal government IFAD Life ND project. Steve Lonai Nwakolo reports that the dialogue was at the instance of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture in conjunction with the International Fund for Agricultural Development.
As part of the National Social Investment Program to eradicate poverty and hunger, as well as ensure sufficiency in the rural and urban areas of the country, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, in conjunction with the UN's International Fund for Agricultural Development, is engaging rural communities in food systems dialogue towards the food sustainable goals. Abia State was chosen in the southeast region of the country for a sensitization workshop on how best to address the challenges facing the rural farmers.
Every other thing pertaining food and whatever starts from a community, from local area. This is the last point and the starting point.
How to shift to healthier and sustainable consumption food pattern. Global food system at crossroads.
The experience has been exciting. The whole thing borders on what should be done today to ensure that there is adequate food production in our area.
The coordinators of the program speak on the significance of the food systems dialogue.
It's the local people that always feel the impact of poverty. That's why we are holding this dialogue at the community level.
This thought of having community-based thoughts about the future food system or food security, and that was what has led to this dialogue we are doing today.
More than 50 key players from the rural communities participated in the food system dialogue. From Ugunagbo local government area of Abia State, Steve Lonai Mwaokolo, NTA News.
Thank you, Steve. Nigeria is gearing up for the adoption of biotechnology applications in animal production and general agriculture. This has been intensified by a national and regional stakeholders' sensitization on animal biotechnology applications and regulatory perspectives put together at the instance of the National Biotechnology Development Agency. Justin Bemui reports.
Animal production in Nigeria has proven to be one of the means in surmounting the food security challenge the nation faces. It is a huge industry in the country that had increased contribution of 2.38% to the GDP by the fourth quarter of 2020. However, the demand for animal products in Nigeria continues to overwhelm the supply, and experts in the sector believe that animal biotechnology only can bridge this gap. From rapid development in modern biotechnology, molecular biology in particular, and opportunities offered by the new science to address some of the pressing needs for Africa, experts are worried that the continent is not taking advantage of these developments.
So it's always good to communicate, especially on new technologies, emerging technologies, particularly genome editing. We're talking about genetic modification, but genetic modification is being phased out. We have a new one, genome editing.
Nigeria is moving closer now to ensure the facilitation of biotech applications and to support development of requisite policies to analyze, utilize, and facilitate delivery of appropriate technologies in animal agriculture.
It is the low content of science and technology in agricultural practice in Africa that has resulted in low productivity, low yield, and inability to compete globally.
We are devoted to bringing this result-oriented technology to the doorstep of every Nigerian and to harness its exponential benefits for the sustainable economic development of our dear country.
For the concerns of safety, the National Biosafety Management Agency says regulations for biotechnologies in place to ensure Nigerians benefit appropriately.
So that the products that will come out of this research and development will be products that will be safe for human consumption and to the environment.
The sensitization of various actors from Nigeria and beyond the shores was to remind the scientific community of ethical concerns that would arise from the introduction of new technologies and informed decisions to be made as they work towards the successful employment of animal technology intensifies. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
We take you to Yenogwa, where a one-day rural community stakeholders food systems dialogue has ended in Bayelsa State with various recommendations for safeguarding quality, accessibility, and affordability of food. Organized by Livelihood Improvement Family Enterprises, the forum was held in Sabagaria, Kolokuma, Opokuma local government area. The grassroots stakeholders also proffered solutions to challenges facing sustainability of agriculture in the country. Senam Bamiboye reports.
The Livelihood Improvements Family Enterprises Project in the Niger Delta, Life ND, is a rural program. About 40 women, youth and elders gathered at Egbelu Ikati Hall at Kalama, Sabagria for the discourse. A key objective of the Life ND project is to transform the rural economy to enhance income, food security and job creation for youths and women.
In the dialogue itself, there are actions that need to be taken immediately. And it is the UN that will decide in the context of the issues that are identified what is immediate. So it could take place in less than 3 months.
Some recommendations of the discourse include that every household be encouraged to engage in some form of farming, with the government and support agencies providing expert advice on the type of crops suitable for each soil type, seedlings, and where necessary, acquisition of land to be allocated to farmers that otherwise would have no access to land.
To go a long way in improving my community, the mindset of the people, you have waking us up on a lot of issues.
Very nice decision that came to this village to improve the food system.
Immediately after this program, I will kind of inform the community, especially the youth.
Participants also highlighted losses to crops from annual flooding of the environment and need for silos for preservation of harvested crops from Sabagria in Kolokoma-Opokuma local government of Bayelsa State. Senam Bamiboye, NTA News.
FCT Minister of State Ramatu Tijani Aliu has expressed the determination of the FCT administration to collaborate with the resourceful bee farmers towards creating enabling environment for the growth of the agricultural sector in the Federal Capital Territory. The minister was speaking at the commemoration of the 2021 International Bee Day. Ifeanyi Ezumba reports.
FCT Minister of State Ramatu Tijani Aliu identified lack of modern beekeeping techniques and access to inputs as some of the major challenges facing the agriculture sector in the nation's capital. She, however, affirmed that despite the numerous challenges, the FCT administration, through the Agriculture and Rural Development Secretariat, has organized various farming programs to expose the farmers to modern techniques in bee production.
With an unending desire to meet their need for food, clothing, and shelter. The significance of this day, therefore, cannot be overemphasized, as research is indicated that bees pollinate about 80% of the world's plants and about 90% of
Ifeanyi Zumba's report there, and we take you to Akwa Ibom State, where the governor Udom Emmanuel says although last year's COVID-19 lockdown globally slowed down the arrival and clearance of major equipment for the completion of the state's government coconut factory, the factory is now set for full operation and inauguration by September 2021. Susan Asuko reports that the governor stated this while inspecting the installation of production lines at the factory.
On resumption of office in May 29, 2015, Governor Udom Emmanuel's mantra was industrialization. This industrialization drive attracted investors with huge investment in aviation, health, agric, among others. In his second term in office, the governor is not relenting as he is bent on completing what he started in his first term. The coconut factory located in Nkparenin local government area is one of the projects initiated in the first term of his administration. And to complete this project, production lines have been installed for full operations to commence in the factory by September 2021. The governor, who was taken round the factory by the construction engineer and the architect of the factory, expressed satisfaction at the level of work done, noting that the over 3,000 youths who will be employed to work in the factory will have the privilege of being trained by foreign experts.
It's a combined technology of both Asia and Europe. So we still need those Indians because a whole lot of them will take part in training our locals. They will also take part in technology, transfer to our own locals. So our prayer is that let the situation in India improve.
The construction engineer and principal consultant Francis Owa said while numerous job opportunities abound in the factory, every byproduct in the factory will be harnessed for economic purpose.
Workers inside the factory, total labor force will be about 255 per shift, times 3 shifts per day. But altogether in the factory, both inside and outside administrative, will be about 1,200 people a day.
The coconut factory, when fully operational, will have the capacity of processing 300,000 coconuts per shift, which will produce about 66 tons in a day. Operation in the factory will run in 3 shifts with about 300 persons working per shift. From Pareni local government area, Susan Asukwo, NTA News.
From there, we take you to Jigawa State, where farmers in Jigawa State have resumed cultivation of irrigation sites along Hadeja River Valley as thousands of hectares of farmlands taken over by taifa grass along the stretch of the river basin are being recovered. The multi-billion recovery project awarded by the federal government in 2018 is steadily progressing. Muhammad Musa Askira has an update.
Initiated since 1981, the Hadeja Valley Irrigation Scheme project was abandoned due to poor funding to execute the program. This has over the years resulted into destroying thousands of hectares of farmlands covered by taifa grass silting the entire length of Hadeja Jamare River Basin, leaving in its trail annual destructive flooding affecting many local government areas of Jigawa State. Worried by this development, President Muhammadu Buhari has in 2018 awarded the contract for the rehabilitation of the existing gravity irrigation area at the cost of about 9.4 billion naira to reopen the blocked waterways to address the annual flooding, creating vast grazing land and resuscitate the means of livelihood for communities living along the basin.
Due to this work, the animals will get food, whereby production of meat will increase, production of fish will increase, production of food crop will increase.
This is in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's aggressive pursuit of agricultural development and that of Governor Muhammadu Badru Abubakar to diversify the sources of the nation's economy, besides the need to ensure food security in the country.
The basic concept is to starve the taifa grass of water so that it will naturally dry up.
You can see the land is reclaimed. The farmers are busy working in their own farm. Some of them, they couldn't even farm in their own land for more than 16 years.
With 3 years completion period, the rehabilitation project located in Abuja local government area of Jigawa State is being carried out under the Transforming Irrigation Management in Nigeria program supported by the World Bank. In Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
Let's talk politics now. After his formal defection, Cross River State Governor Ben Ayade has met with the leadership and members of the All Progressives Congress in the state with the message of unity to consolidate on the gains of the party ahead of 2023 general elections. Paul Lebel reports.
The meeting, which is the first in the series of consultations to reposition the APC in the state, affords the governor the opportunity to appreciate the people for the strong opposition when he was in the PDP, which spurred him to record achievements in the state. Governor Ayade promised a peaceful electoral process in the future, while the APC state chairman pledged to give him total support for more successes in the state.
We can't afford the salamanization that is always orchestrated by politics. What we are going to do is politician, because the policing process of our elections, our courage and our conduct will show that we have one indivisible state. But now that he's part of the mainstream, we are going to all rally behind him. We will be behind you 100%. For once, instead of complaining, let us direct our energy positively and support him.
In the spirit of fairness, Governor Ayade issued a directive to appoint 500 APC members to positions of authority. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, on behalf of the National Executive Committee, has approved the dissolution of the State Caretaker Committee for the Cross River State chapter of the party. Timothy Yusuf reports that the party's stakeholders, led by former Governor Liel Imoke at the party's National Secretariat in Abuja, says the PDP structure in the state remains intact.
The decision of the PDP to dissolve and subsequently replace the Cross River State chapter of Caretaker Committee, according to the party's spokesman Kola Olobundiyon, is in pursuant to the powers conferred on the NWC by the PDP constitution. Consequently, the NWC constituted a new State Caretaker Committee to pilot the affairs of the chapter of the party at the state level. Effiok Kobam is chairman of the 10-man committee, while Eko Atu is secretary. Other structure of the party at the local government and ward levels in the state remain intact. Meanwhile, the Cross River PDP Stakeholders Forum, led by former Governor Liel Imoke, has described Governor Ben Ayade's exit from the PDP as regrettable but not unexpected. He affirmed that the majority of citizens who had supported the party from inception remain in the PDP.
We as a party, therefore, remain virile and strong. Hence, the events in our state avail us an opportunity to re-strategize.
Senator Gershon Bassi, on behalf of National Assembly members from the state, reaffirmed their loyalty to the party. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
You're watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Here is a reminder of our top stories. National flag to fly at half-mast in honor of late Chief of Army Staff and others that have paid the supreme price. Accident Investigation Bureau AIB gets the mandate to lead investigation into Friday's KADUNA military aircraft crash. 90 travelers who arrived from India, Brazil and Turkey as persons of interest and potential health hazards to the site for evading quarantine.
This is NTA News 24.
Up next is the foreign news.
Torrents of lava poured into villages after dark in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo with little warning, leaving at least 15 people dead amid the chaos and destroyed more than 500 homes. The eruption of Mount Nyiragongo on Saturday night sent about 5,000 people fleeing from the city of Goma across the nearby border into Rwanda, while another 25,000 others sought refuge to the northwest in Sake. More than 170 children were still feared missing on Sunday, and UNICEF officials say they were organizing transit centers to help unaccompanied children in the wake of the disaster. Meanwhile, Samoa's Prime Minister-elect, Fiame Naomi Matafa, has been locked out of the Pacific Nations Parliament after her political rival refused to cede power despite losing a general election in April. Matafa arrived the Pacific Nations Parliament on Monday, accompanied by judges, ready to form a new government and take the oath as the country's first female prime minister. The event marked the latest twist in a bitter power struggle, with Malia Legao, who has governed Samoa for 22 years, refusing to relinquish power, even though the courts have confirmed Matafa's narrow election win in last month's vote. Barred from entering the legislative chamber, Matafa and members of her party held an ad hoc oath-taking ceremony in the gardens of Parliament as supporters sang hymns and police looked on. The ceremony took place without the head of state, the Chief Justice, or members of the opposition party.
On a sad note, 2 lives were lost. 28 others currently on admission out of over 60 people caught up in a petroleum tanker explosion at a filling station in Sharada industrial area of Kano. Hadiza Muhammad reports that 8 men of the State Fire Service were involved.
The incident occurred when the tanker offloading its content at the filling station along Sharada industrial area caught up with fire.
Currently, we have 28 patients on admission. 8 of them are members of the fire service, while the other 18 were the passers-by and those that went to the incident site for sightseeing. Out of that 28, 2 had sustained fractures, and all of them are receiving treatment.
The incident, which scared workers of the filling station and neighboring business owners, received prompt intervention of the Kano State Fire Service, Nigerian Red Cross, Kano State Road Transport Agency, and more help from neighboring companies.
We are unable to control the situation. The fire become under control by our firemen.
The Red Cross was informed through our usual contact. People call us and our volunteers was able to rush and offer assistance.
An eyewitness revealed to NTA News that after the situation was contained, a worker at the filling station mounted the oil tanker and opened its compartment, after which it instantly exploded. 8 men of the Kano State Fire Service, many people who have gathered at the scene of the incident, and passers-by alike sustained fractures and various degree of injuries. Presently, 28 casualties are bedridden at the Murtala Mohammed Specialists and Abdullahi Wase teaching hospitals, receiving free treatment. Stakeholders have continued to warn people to desist from taking decisions that could cost them their lives and stop turning dangerous scenarios into avenues of excitement and attractions. In Kano, Hadiza Muhammad, NTA News.
And talking sports now, Kano Pillars draw Katsina United to secure a spot in the Nigeria Professional Football League, and Eimba FC knocked out of the CAF Confederation Cup after holding Pyramids in a second leg quarter-final. Let's join our sports decks for more.
Kano Pillars moved to the summit of the Nigerian Professional Football League after a 1-1 away draw against Katsina United at the Muhammadu Dikko Stadium on Sunday. Rabiu Ali gave Pillars the lead from a free kick in the 26th minute, and Ahmed Rashid equalized for the host 8 minutes later. With the away draw, Pillars now top the NPFL table with 41 points from 22 games. Nasarawa United moved to 4th position following a comfortable 3-1 home win against Heartland in Lafia. Aliyu Abdullahi netted a brace for Nasarawa United, with Martins Owulija scoring the other goal, while Chijoke Akuneto reduced the deficit for Heartland 5 minutes from time. Rivers United dropped to 5th position after they were held to a 0-0 draw in Port Harcourt by Abia Warriors. In the other match day 22 results, Ime Atobasi scored the decisive goal for MFM FC, who defeated Lobby Stars 1-0 at the Agege Stadium. Plateau United recorded the biggest win of the day, thrashing Wiki Torres 4-1 at the New Jos Stadium. In Inuwe, FC Ifeanyi beat Sunshine Stars 1-0, with Ekene Anwazi scoring the winning goal in the 8th minute. Adamawa United and Warri Wolves battled to a 3-3 draw, while the game between Jigawa Golden Stars and Dakata ended in a 1-1 draw. At the continental stage, Enyimba International crashed out of the CAF Confederations Cup after holding Pyramids FC of Egypt to a 1-1 draw in the CAF Confederations Cup quarter-final, second leg in Aba on Sunday.
Play forward whenever Pyramids push forward. Whoa!
Ibrahim Abdel gave the visitors the lead in the 32nd minute before Anayo Owala, however, equalized for the home team 8 minutes later. Pyramids won the contest 5-2 on aggregate after edging out the People's Elephant 4-1 in the first leg. And in tennis, second seed Stefanos Tsitsipas claimed his 7th ATP title after beating Britain's Cameron Norrie 6-3, 6-3 in the final of the Lyon Open on Sunday. Tsitsipas, who dropped only one set in the entire tournament, wrapped up the match in 69 minutes to add a second title in the clay court swing after winning last month's Monte Carlo Masters.
And that concludes the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Thank you for watching. Do remember to join the NTA in the campaign against rape and rapists. I am Nolin Evel Ame. See you at the top of the hour.